Guys, welcome back to another video. How has it been? Today's lesson is simply going to be the question I've received over time. How do I determine a valid pullback, valid change of character, valid break of structure? Today we're going to answer them all along from this particular video. So I know some of you will see a chart like this. Where is it heading to? Where's my break of structure? Where is the trend heading to? What am I looking for? Currently, most of you, especially the newbie among us, are more often than not confused whenever they see a chart, especially when it is this random, and they might not know what to do and how to map it correctly. So today we are going to answer that pretty well, and sit back, relax, and let's dive into it. It's going to be more or less of a chart walk today. Please, if you are returning subscriber, thank you for always being supportive. I really appreciate. I saw all the comments, the likes, the shares. I'll see all of that. I really appreciate. And if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing, turn on the notification in order not to miss content that will be released from this channel. And without much ado, let's dive into it. Let's lay out a very, very rigid rule. This rule, I've followed it for over a very long time, and I'm telling you from out of experience, they've proven to be very, very solid, and they play a major role in my trading decision as a whole. You can see before you 4 scenarios of chart patterns, right? And I've come to realize that some of you consider some candlesticks pattern or some candlestick pullback as a valid pullback. So if you can't determine a valid pullback, it's as good as you can't determine a valid break of structure. That's just what it is, right? Until you are able to determine a valid pullback, you cannot determine what a valid break of structure is. That's what I've laid before you. These 4 scenarios, which of it is actually a break of structure and which of it is a valid pullback? Before we dive into it, you can do me a favor by dropping a comment, by dropping your thought process or what you think is the valid break of structure here. All right. Let's go into it and see whether you're right or you are wrong according to what this strategy we have been trading for a while. First of all, the first one, is it a valid break of structure? Absolutely no. This scenario is not a valid break of structure. Why? If you look at this candle that is standing here, right? And this candle here, all of it are engulfed in this what candle. You can see that the two of these bearish candle you are seeing here fall inside of one candle. What this candle is called is this is the kind of candle they call inside bars. So this candle engulfed these two candles. These two candles are called inside bar. So it's rendered this place invalid break of structure. So whenever you see this type of scenario on the chart, it is just one leg movement. Get this, and get it once and for all. Whenever I see this scenario, it is just one leg movement. Likewise, is this a valid break of structure? Because until we know the valid break of structure, we can't determine a valid pullback. If this is valid, then this must also be what? Valid. And absolutely no, this, according to me, is not a valid pullback. Therefore, a valid break of structure is invalid exactly at this particular point here. Now, especially this particular scenario is subject to some people's perspective when they are on charts. Some traders look at it, they have this theory that whenever a candle sweep the high and probably go to take the low, close below, and another candle, they consider it as a valid pullback. I don't consider a single candle pullback as a valid pullback. Take note of that. A single candle pullback is not a valid pullback according to our strategy. Third, is this a valid pullback? Absolutely, yes. This is a valid pullback. Why? Because this candle closed above this what? Break of structure with a body, right? Until a body close above a break of structure, is not considered a valid break of structure. And until we have a valid break of structure, this one cannot be valid. Therefore, since this break of structure is valid, then this low is actually a valid pullback. Now we have the first scenario. This is where we more often than not, traders normally have confusion here. And this has to do with the data you gather from the pair you are trading individually. And the question is, do you consider wicks as a break or body as a break? I know we've had some traders here, and I know they are pretty much doing well, or probably intermediate trader. What do you consider as a valid break of structure? Is it body close or a wick above? Here, we don't consider wick as a break of structure. So whenever we see a wick, a candle wick above, then close back inside of this particular ring, This is not a valid break of structure. Therefore, this is not a valid what? Pullback. Are we all together? Now, take note of this rule. As long as you're trading my pair, we have VIX 50, VIX 25, VIX 75. We don't take VIX as a break of structure. We take a full body close, just like what you are seeing here, as what? A valid break of structure. And when we have a valid break of structure, definitely this must be a valid pullback. And if we don't have a valid break of structure, definitely this is not a valid pullback. So in all of this scenario, we only have one valid pullback here. First, in cyber. Second, just one candlestick pullback is not valid. Third, we have two candlestick minimum. I must have two bearish candles taking the low of each other before I can consider a valid what? Pullback. So we are going to go into mapping out structure step by step, one after the other, determining the valid break of structure. And I picked this VIX 50 index, and we're going to map it from the beginning to the end. This video might be a bit long, but it's all what you need to always be on the right side of the market. Starting from the beginning, this is way back 12th of September 2024, right? And you can see that the market actually start creating lower low here, right? So what I'll basically do in this, I'm going to walk you through the step by step on how to actually map out structure correctly, and as well telling you my thought process whenever I'm seeing all these random movements on chart and how I usually handle them. So starting from here, you can see we have a valid break of structure here. Why is this valid? Because this market actually pulled back here, and you can see it went to close above this candle before this aggressive move downward here. So that consider this pullback valid, right? And when we have that pullback, this becomes the valid higher low, right? And we have a lower low here. Now, this lower low is valid only if the market pull back, and only if this market start pulling back from this particular zone here. And again, this higher low here, is it valid? Yes. Why? Because the market pulled back all the way to some of this level and stop here, and it went to break the structure below here. This break of structure that you're seeing exactly this point makes this particular higher low valid. So we have a push, a pullback, and a push. All these ones you are seeing here, they are all internal structures, right? All these ones you are seeing here, they are all internal structure. And you continue to flow along. Now we have something interesting here. Is this a valid pullback? Absolutely no. So this is the lower high, and this is the lower low here. Sorry, come on. And this is a lower low here. Why do we consider this as a lower low and here not a lower high? Because this market break out of this particular structure here, close below, and it's a kind of trying to pull back, actually pull back, but fail to take this particular low. The moment this particular low fail to break this structure here, this is not a valid higher low. Therefore, what you are seeing here is not a valid change of character or a change of trend. Rather, it is an internal structure, because everything that lies within this particular level here, they are all what? Internal. Even though this market pull back to this place, I'll still be looking for what? A sell. Until it break above this particular level here, that's when I'll change my bias from selling to what? Buying. Right? We continue. Now the market, that means the movement from here all the way to this place, the movement right from this particular zone here all the way to this place is just a single movement. The trend change here, right? The moment the trend change, we expect a pullback either here, here, here. We don't know where the pullback will end. But look at where this one stopped. Is this a valid pullback? Yes. Why is it a valid pullback? This is more than one candle, and all that. You can see that actually takes series of below candle. And most importantly, it went to break this structure here. The moment we have a body close above this particular level, which confirms to us that this low here is actually what? Valid. Let me get rid of this, right? That this low here is actually a valid higher low. And this is the other one that we are seeing. From this particular leg to this leg is a single candle movement. This is a valid higher low. And this market also went to break above this structure here. The moment this one break above this structure, it confirms to us that this low as well is a valid higher low. Can you see how we're mapping? So before we confirm a valid higher low, there must be a break of structure. Before a valid higher low is confirmed, there must be a break of structure. Look at here, the market pulled back all the way to this place and went to break above this particular level you are seeing here. What do we call this? Is this a valid higher low? Yes. Why? Because it break above what? This structure. And you can see this is how the trend started creating. A push, a pullback, a push, then a change of trend, a pullback, a continuation, pullback, continuation, pullback, and this is the continuation. Why am I not taking this particular point here as a valid as a valid pullback is just one candle movement. We don't take one candle movement as a valid what? Pullback. So we'll maintain this and we'll be expecting this market to actually, if this market is here, we'll be expecting it to pull back to some of this imbalance here and continue. That will be our expectation. And suddenly we have a violation here. What does this tell you? The trend has actually changed. Right? The trend has actually changed. And you can see the market move all the way from this particular point down to this particular point. Why is this one not a valid pullback and why is this not a valid pullback? Because it is a single candle movement. Right? So the whole of this movement, all the way from this top down to this particular point, is just one leg movement. And the only place we have a valid pullback again is this particular level here. Why do we call this place that it is a valid pullback? Because it went to break below this particular level, creating a lower low. And you can see after we have that lower low, the market pulled all the way down, right? This is just one leg movement. Why? This one candle, they are simply not valid. And you can see that the market pull back here and creates this higher low here. Why is this place a valid higher low? That is because the market from there went to break structure exactly at this particular level here. Now, this is what I'm saying. This leg you are seeing all the way from here down to this place is just a single leg movement, and we have a valid pullback exactly at this particular level here. Why do I call this a valid pullback? Because it went to what? Break another structure below. So this becomes a valid higher low, right? And this becomes a valid lower low. Okay, so the whole of this movement here is just one leg movement. Everything you are seeing here, they are just all internal structure, right? So whether the market pull back here, drop, you won't know, or it will pull back to this particular point and drop. That we cannot tell. Okay, let's go. So we have a valid break of structure exactly at this particular level here. This particular level here, that makes this high here a valid higher low. This is how you map out your structure. You will hardly will you be wrong, will you be on the wrong side of the market if only you can adapt this system. Is this a valid higher low? No. This is not a valid higher low. This is simply an internal structure playing out here, right? So the market just pulled back and this is the continuation. And it continues like that. Look at this particular point here. Is this a valid higher low? If I may ask, is this a valid higher low? According to my strategy, yes, this is a valid higher low. Why? Because the market took out this level break structure here, and this is simply a pullback to fill imbalance that is actually residing here. You can see the imbalance exactly at this particular point here. Why this thing so thick? Let me make it light. Right? You can see the imbalance within that level that this market pull back to fill. So this is a valid higher low, and we have a break of structure exactly at this particular level here. Right? So look at this particular switch scenario again. Is this a valid higher low? Yes. This is a valid higher low, and this is a break of structure. Exactly with this body close here. A break of structure. The market change character here. This is a change of character or a change of trend. Once you're on chart and you see this kind of a thing, two things are involved. Quite all right, we have some imbalance residing above this particular zone, which would definitely be expecting the market to tap into. But having seen this particular change of character, you have to have a mindset shift on the spot. The market is no longer trading down again. Rather, it's trending up. And how do we know that? Simply by this change of character you are seeing here. This is simply, come on, a church, or what they call it, or change of trend, right? So this market went all the way from below here and break up and close with a body. Then we confirm this as a change of trend. What will be our expectation is a pullback, then a continuation. Did this pullback actually create another break of structure? That we don't know until we map it. And you can see if we map it correctly, right? You can see that the market never break below. Rather, it liquidates the low and continue this upward movement, right? So this is a change of trend. This is a pullback, and the market is currently trending up. So if I was in this particular scenario, I would definitely be waiting for a pullback and a continuation. That would be my thoughts. Simply reading into structure, right? That would be my thought. Not until the market pullback here, try to create the next high and fail. This particular point, if I was on chart, I'm sure I'm going to take a loss right in this particular zone. That is what my system permits. This zone you are seeing here will be a zone where I will lose a trade. Then the market will change character by breaking this particular level here and create another change of character exactly at this particular level here. And the trend continue in this format. Then I'll have to be a bit fast. This becomes a valid higher low, then a valid break of structure is here, right? A valid higher low. Come on. A valid higher low. Exactly at this particular level here. Come on, let me. Right. So we have another break of structure exactly here, in as no matter how small it is. The reason is this week, take out the week before the actual pullback. So this to me is a valid break of structure. And we have a higher low here. All right. So this to me as well is a valid pullback. Very valid. Okay. So I'll definitely take this high. A valid pullback because why? This market pullback and the structural low was taken exactly at this particular level here. It doesn't matter the size, it's the structure that counts. Right? This is the valid higher low, and the market went to break below here. Right? So also, this particular point here is a valid higher low. Sorry, let me adjust this particular point, only stop here. This is a valid higher low simply because the market went to break below here. I don't know, did it actually break? No, this is a liquidation. Therefore, this is not a valid higher low. I'll have to delete it off. So the valid higher low is still residing exactly at this particular level here. And again, we have a change of character by seeing this candle closing above this particular level here. The market pullback tried to continue the upward movement and still failed. That's why losses are inevitable in the market. The market pullback tried to continue and failed, and this next movement break below exactly this particular level and stop here, right? I don't know. We'll map it out, right? So this becomes a valid break of structure exactly at this particular level here. You can see how I'm mapping it step by step, and the valid higher low will now be left to this particular point here, right? So the whole of this particular leg is one leg movement, and you can see, look at beautiful scenario here. Look at this candle that is standing here, this particular candle here. This long engulfing bearish candle here. If you observe that candle well, this candle, the high is this one, and the low is this particular level here. So all this movement you are seeing in this particular level, they are what? Inside bar. This is not a valid pullback. Therefore, the whole movement from this particular point down to this particular point is just a single one leg movement. So this is a pullback, and we'll be expecting this low to get violated, right? We'll be expecting this low to actually get broken. And you can see the market create an internal structure, creating high highs and high lows, and you see the realignment here, right? Realignment exactly at this particular level, and we'll be expecting this market to actually break down below. So if you can map out your chart just like what you are seeing here, hardly will you be on the wrong side of the market. Know which is the valid higher low, which is the valid break of structure. And by going this, you might have to watch this video step by step to get into details how and why all these charts are mapped in this way. So if you're getting any value from this video, please give this video a thumbs up. If you're not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Support the channel by subscribing. Turn on the notification in order not to miss content that will be coming from here. And until next time, keep practicing. Peace out.